Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathiran. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Tonight's lesson will be on Bulugh al-Maraam, Kitab al-Nikah, inshaAllah ta'ala. Before we get started, our normal announcements. This Saturday at 2:30 p.m. we'll be doing the Q&A marathon for those who wish to join. And that's going to be at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the 29th of this month, the 29th of October, the last Thursday of every month, we'll be doing our monthly workshop. And what we'll be discussing this month is the fiqh of al-istikhara. The fiqh of salat al-istikhara. The do's, the don'ts, the ABCs, some common misconceptions, mispractices, and how to enhance your istikhara, and how to properly and correctly approach Salatul Istikhara. And what should you be looking forward to? What results? What signs? Can you depend upon a dream? Are you following your desires if you do what you originally wanted to do from the beginning? etc., etc. And the HadithDisciple style of teaching and explaining with regards to Salatul Istikhara. And that's going to be on the last Thursday of this month, October the 29th at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can sign up for that, like it's well known with regards to the rest of the exclusive workshops and lectures. We like to thank all of our watchers and viewers, all of our disciples worldwide and locally. We'd like to also thank all of the patrons, all of those who donate, and all of those who support the cause. Walillahi alhamd. May Allah Azza wa Jal accept it from you. And may Allah Azza wa Jal make us appreciative and grateful. And may Allah Azza wa Jal continue to give you more. Ameen. For those who wish to donate and those who wish to contribute with regards to skills and talents, volunteer services, and many other things that are needed for better service, better classes, better videos, for things to be, for the machine to be smoother, ran smoothly, inshallah ta'ala, you can always sign up. You can always contact us via email, Instagram, Facebook, the GoFundMe, Patreon, Cash App, and all other ways of supporting and donating. And if you can't do that, then inshallah ta'ala, at least make the dua for us. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Jazakumullahu khairan. So tonight's lesson will be on the 7th hadith of the chapter. Hadith number 960. The author, Hafidh ibn Hajar, rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, وعن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنهما قال كانت اليهود تقول إذا أتى الرجل امرأته من دبرها في قبلها كان الولد أحول فنزلت نساؤكم حرث لكم فأتوا حرثكم أن شئتم متفق عليه واللفظ لمسلم. States in the English translation, page 360, hadith 873. Narrated Jabir bin Abdullah, may Allah be pleased with them both. The Jews used to say, when a man has intercourse with his wife through the vagina, but from her backside the child will have a squint. So the verse came down, your wives are a tilth to you, so come to your tilth however you wish. Agreed upon, and the version is of Muslim. So this hadith, the main lesson here, is what we have previously mentioned in the beginning of the chapter with regards to the narration of Abu Hurairah and the narration of Abdullah ibn Abbas and others concerning the impermissibility of anal sex and the permissibility of any other sexual position that a man and woman choose, as long as the intercourse is vaginal. As long as it is vaginal, and whatever position you wish to do it in, it is permissible as long as it is vaginal, whereas the vaginal intercourse is the place of harth. Allah called it a tilth, meaning like farmland, with the intention of a child being produced, and obviously that's not going to take place through anal intercourse. So that's the main lesson from this hadith, and it is showing us once again a ruling of Islamic sexuality, and it is showing us a ruling of Ishratun Nisa, how to live with women, how to treat women. There is the emotional side, the spiritual side, the mental side, and of course is the physical side. And many people of many different religions and sects and schisms and philosophies, they place so much concentration on the spiritual, on the mental, on the psychological aspect or realm, and it causes them to ignore the physical. And that's a mistake. That's a mistake. Yes, the spirit is first. The mind comes before the physical matter, the mass, the crude flesh. But don't sleep on the physical. Do not sleep on the physical. Do not underestimate and ignore the body. The body is the vessel of the other elements. If the body is gone, the other elements will be in peril. So therefore, Islam does not neglect the physical aspect of marriage. And many people, they go to the extreme. I married my wife and I only married her for her mind. I only married her for her religion, and that's it. Many women, they accept Islam and they say, I'm glad to be a Muslim because my husband, he only wants me for my mind. He's not like the other men, before I was a Muslim at the workplace. I had to wear mini skirt and high heel shoes and perfume. Okay. Outside on the subway, walking down the street, in the club, men just looked at me like a piece of meat hanging from a hook. They were only attracted to me physically. But now that I'm a Muslim, I've accepted Islam. Now my husband, he marries me for my mind and my heart. And my hijab, it protects me from so on and so forth. And that's only partially true. Whereas your husband is supposed to enjoy your physical sense as well. A man who proposes to marry you, who wants to marry you, is supposed to see what you look like as well. All right. So therefore, Muslims are not robots, nor are we aliens from outer space. Muslims have physical desires. Muslims have lusts. And our religion has allowed us to enjoy those lusts in the permissible manner. So a part of living with your wife, a part of being a husband, is physical intercourse, is sexual intimacy. That is a part of marriage. Rather, that is a major part of marriage. Not the only part. Not the only part of marriage. You ignore the other aspects of friendship, of talking, of confiding, and the list goes on. Teaching, learning, practicing together. But that doesn't mean that you ignore the physical aspect, all right? Khayr inshallah, balance and moderation. So we have a ruling of Islamic sexuality, and we also have one of the rulings of the etiquette of living with women, which the chapter is about. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So a simple breakdown of this hadith is the Jews, meaning the Jews of Medina, the Jews of Arabia, when they mixed with the Muslims migrated to Medina. Obviously they talked, they spoke, they discussed things. And there were parallels between what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was calling to and what the Jews had known and practiced and understood for years. The previous teachings of Musa ﷺ, Musa and Harun. So there were parallels with regards to the theory and the actual practice. And from that, the Jews, they said that a man is not allowed to have intercourse with his wife from behind. Okay, what people commonly or colloquially call today doggy style. You can't do that. And that is because even though you're having vaginal intercourse, if your wife becomes pregnant, the child will come out with a squint, meaning there will be something wrong with the child's eyes. Where did they get this from? Was it something which was made up? Was it something that came from the distortion of the Torah? Was it just a custom or a tradition or a superstition? Allah truly knows best. But upon the Jews saying that, Allah Azza wa Jal sent down that ayah. Nisa'ukum, your wives, your women are your harth, your farmland, your tilth, your soil. And do with them as you please. Enter them, approach them as you please. And of course, in light of the other previously mentioned hadith, another version of this hadith, مَا دَامَ فِي سِمَامٍ وَاحِدٍ مُقْبِلًا أَوْ مُدْبِرًا, from front, from back, from side, etc. As long as it's in simam and wahid, as long as it is vaginal intercourse and not anal intercourse. Khayran inshallah. Before we move, so that's a general breakdown of this hadith. And Allah Azza wa Jal falsified and debunked and rejected, He refuted that false claim that those Arabian Jews were making, and taught the Muslims what to do and how to live with their wives, etc. Khayr inshallah, clear on that. Before we move forward, this hadith also goes to reject and to refute the claims of some scholars who say that there are certain sexual positions in which a woman should not adopt, such as a woman being on top. They say that shouldn't be done. Many, such as Ibn Qayyim, rahimahullah, and other scholars, they say that the first reason why it shouldn't be done is that it's an imitation of a man. They say it is unbefitting of a woman to be in that type of domineering position. And her position is maf'ulun biha, lal fa'ila. She's not the doer of the intercourse, but the intercourse is done to her. She is entered and penetrated, and the man is the one who works and not the woman. So they say that the woman being on top of him like that is putting her in control, and that is a means of domineering and a means of imitating a man, which is prohibited. They also say, such as Ibn Qayyim, he argues and it says is that there are certain excretions or fluids that come from a woman's vagina which come down upon him in that position, which harm him. This is what Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala stated. Is that factual? Allahu alam. Is that based off of culture? Allahu alam. What's important is the ayah mentions nothing about a position. The hadith mentions nothing about a prohibited position. But the collective compilation of all the narrations mention anything's permissible as long as it is vaginal. As long as it's vaginal and it is not anal. Khairan inshallah. As-Sanani rahimahullah, he says in the commentary, وَلَفْظُ الْبُخَارِي سَمِعْتُ جابر يقول كانت اليهود تقول إذا جامعها من ورائها أي في قبلها كما فسرته الرواية الأولى جاء الولد أحول فنزلت نساؤكم حرث لكم فأتوا حرثكم أن شئتم واختلفت الروايات في سبب نزولها على ثلاثة أقوال. الأول ما أنه في إتيان المرأة من ورائها في قبلها، وأخرج هذا المعنى جماعة من المحدثين عن جابر وغيره، وسمع فيه 36 طريقا صرح في بعضها بأنه لا يحل إلا في القبل، وفي أكثر الرد على اليهود. الثاني أنها نزلت في حل إتيان دبر الزوجة، أخرجوا جماعة عن ابن عمر من 12 طريقا. الثالث أنها نزلت في حل العزل عن الزوجة، أخرجه أئمة من أهل الحديث عن ابن عباس وعن ابن عمر وعن ابن المسيب. ولا يخفى أن ما في صحيحين مقدما على غيره في الرجل هو القول الأول، وابن عمر قد اختلفت عنه الرواية والقول بأنه أريد بها العزل لا يناسبها لفظ الآية. هذا وقد روي عن ابن الحنيفة أو عن ابن الحنفية أن معنى قوله تعالى أن شئتم إذا شئتم فهو بيان لللفظ أن وأنه بمعنى إذا، فلا يدل على شيء مما ذكر أنه سبب النزول، بل على أن إتيان الزوجة موكول إلى مشيئة الزوج. Sanani rahimahullah, he says, and there are different versions of why this verse was sent down. Why did Allah Azza wa Jal send down this ayah? Obviously from Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 2-3. Why? Main interpretations why it was sent down. The first interpretation is that which was mentioned by the author, which is in Bukhari and Muslim, is that it was sent down concerning rejecting the claim of the Jews, and that a man was allowed to be in front and back, from the side, etc., as long as the intercourse is vaginal and it is not anal, as we've explained. The second interpretation was mentioned by Ibn Umar for many different routes, many different turuq, chains of narrations. Some say that Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma said that it means فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ, approach your tilth as you please, anal sex, and that is permissible. Alright, and we previously explained, did Ibn Umar say that or not? And if Ibn Umar did say it, the ahadith come before him and the views of the other Sahaba come before him. And the third view is that this isn't pertaining to the modality of intercourse, but it's only pertaining to فَأْتُوا حَرْثَكُمْ أَنَّا شِئْتُمْ, go to your tilth when you want to, meaning a man can have intercourse whenever he wants to. A man can have intercourse whenever he wants to. Alright, and Sanani, obviously, he adopts the first view, that being the most authentic view, is that this verse was sent down concerning having intercourse with a woman from any position that you please, as long as it is with the intention of having a child, meaning vaginal intercourse, as we have explained before. Khairan inshallah. So, this goes to show us, like many other examples, that we follow the Quran and Sunnah. And if there's an isolated opinion that goes against the Quran and Sunnah, we don't adopt it. And we don't take it no matter who holds that view, or no matter whom that view has been passed down from. Alright, moving forward. So this goes to show, as we said before, speaking on matters of sexuality and not being shy from speaking the truth. We're all supposed to be mature adults. We're supposed to be mature adolescents. And as we said before, unfortunately, there's some men or women or shell teen, whatever they are, which are extremely immature. And they try to refute someone and rebuke someone for explaining things that are requested and asked of a person to explain, that they don't have the ability to explain, They don't have the courage to explain, or they don't have the maturity to explain. And only Allah knows what type of perversions and sicknesses that they practice and they're upon. All right, so we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for maturity. It's very important for maturity. We have to have maturity, and we have to understand that the Quran and Sunnah speak on these things. And we've done classes on that before. Khairan, inshallah. Let's move on to the next hadith. وعن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لو أن أحدكم إذا أراد أن يأتي أهله قال بسم الله اللهم جنبنا الشيطان وجنب الشيطان ما رزقتنا فإنه إن يقدر بينهما ولد في ذلك لم يضره الشيطان أبدا متفق عليه. Next narration, hadith number 874, is narrated by Ibn Abbas. May Allah be pleased with them both. Allah's Messenger, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, if anyone who intends to have intercourse with his wife says, in the name of Allah, O Allah, keep us away from the devil, and keep the devil away from what you have provided us, should it be ordained that a child be born to them thereby, no devil ever will harm it. Agreed upon. So this hadith, Abdullah ibn Abbas says, إذا أراد لو أن أحدكم إذا أراد أن يأتي أهله, is that when a man wishes to have intercourse with his wife, he should say, it is recommended, is commanded for him to say, Allahumma, O Allah, jannibna shaitan, protect us from shaitan. Protect our intercourse being invaded by shaitan, our intimacy being invaded by shaitan. Protect our thoughts and feelings from shaitan, our bodies from shaitan, our private parts from shaitan. وَجَنِّبْنَا, and protect us from that, him from that which you have what? Given us as rizq, as a child. If a child, فَإِنَّهُ إِن يُقَدَّرْ بَيْنَهُمَا وَلَدٌ, if a child is conceived through that intercourse, the shaitan will never harm that child. The recommendation of making this supplication before sexual intercourse, and a clear proof of the result and the fruit of having that supplication and making that supplication before intercourse. That's the main lesson from the hadith. As-Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala says, Al-Hadithu dalilun ala annahu yakunu al-qawlu qabla al-mubashara inda al-irada. وهذه الرواية تفسر هكذا وهذه الرواية تفسر رواية لو أن أحدكم يقول حين يأتي أهله أخرج البخاري بأن المراد حين يريد وضمير جنبنا للرجل وامرأته. وفي رواية الطبراني جنبني وجنب ما رزقتني بالإفراد. وقوله لم يضره الشيطان أبدا أي لم يسلط عليه. قال القاضي عياض نفي الضرر على جهة العموم في جميع أنواع الضرر غير مراد، وإن كان الظاهر العموم في جميع الأحوال من صنيعة النفي مع تأبيد، وذلك لما ثبت في الحديث من أن كل ابن آدم يطعن الشيطان في بطنه حين يولد إلا مريم وابنها، فإن في هذا الطعن نوع ضرر في الجملة، وعن ذلك سبب صراخه. قلت هذا من القاضي مبني على عموم الضرر الديني والدنيوي، وقيل ليس المراد إلا الديني، وأنه يكون من جملة العباد الذين قال تعالى فيهم إن عبادي ليس لك عليهم سلطان. ويعيد هذا أنه أخرج عبد الرزاق عن الحسن وفيه فكان يرجى أن حملت به أن يكون ولدا صالحا وهو مرسل، لكنه لا يقال من قبل الرأي. قال ابن دقيق العيد رحمه الله يحتمل أنه لا يضره في دينه ولكن يلزم منه العصمة وليست إلا للأنبياء، وقد أجيب بأن العصمة في حق الأنبياء على جهة الوجوب، وفي حق من دعي لأجله بهذا الدعاء على جهة الجواز، فلا يبعد أن يوجد من لا يصدر منه معصية عمدا ولم يكن ذلك واجبا له. وقيل لم يضره لم يفتنه في دينه إلى الكفر وليس المراد عصمته عن المعصية. وقيل لم يضره مشاركة الشيطان لأبيه في جماع أمه. ويؤيده ما جاء عن مجاهد أن الذي يجامع ولا يسمي يلتف الشيطان على إحليه أو إحليه فيجامع معه. قيل ولعل هذا أقرب الأجوبة. Sarani rahimahullah, he says, this hadith proves is that a person should make this supplication at the time of commencing the intercourse. Before you do it, when you're approaching, when you have the intention of doing it. When you have the intention of doing it. Tayyib. He then says, he speaks on the issue of the concept of Allahumma jannibna shaitan wa jannib shaitan ma razaqtana, right? He says, What's meant by that if a child lam yadurrahu, he'll never harm him? What's meant by that? That a child would never ever be harmed by the devil. If the father makes that supplication before he has intercourse with the mother becomes pregnant, etc. What's meant by that the shaitan would never harm the child? How is that possible? He says here, it doesn't mean that the shaitan will never harm the child from all aspects, from all angles. It doesn't mean that. And that's because it is authentically proven in the hadith is that shaitan pokes the baby in the belly when the child is born, with regards to the child crying, coming out of the womb, and the shaitan touches the child when it's born. Everyone was affected by this except for Isa and his mother, Maryam, alayhim as-salatu wa-salam. He says, so therefore this proves that it's a type of darar, it's a type of harm. It's a type of harm, and this is why the baby cries. It's a type of harm. Tayyib. Sanani rahimahullah ta'ala, he says that Qadi Iyadh, he bases this off of the interpretation of the hadith being religious and worldly harm. But it's a big possibility that the hadith is only talking about spiritual harm, religious harm. If the father makes this supplication, shaitan will never spiritually harm the child. A baby girl, a baby boy, they will not be harmed spiritually. And they will be protected from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of this supplication. Khairan inshallah. Based off of what Allah Azza wa Jalla says, Inna ibadi laysa laka alayhim sultan. My servants, you have no power over them. You have no power over my servants. Tayyib. Then he goes on quoting from Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah. There's a version of this hadith in the mursal form. Is that if the child is born, if the woman gets pregnant, then it will be hoped that the child will be salih, righteous, because of the supplication. Tayyib. Other scholars, they say that if this means that the child won't be harmed spiritually, religiously, then it means that the child will be exempt from sin. And no one is protected 100% and exempt from sin 100% except for the prophets. Except for the prophets. Sanani rejects that. He says that doesn't necessarily have to be that. Just because Allah Azza wa Jalla protects the prophets is guaranteed, doesn't mean that it can't happen for someone else in general. Moving forward. He says another interpretation of this hadith, when the Prophet ﷺ says, Lam yadurrahu, he won't be harmed ever. Abadan, the hadith says. Lam yadurrahu shaitanu abadan. The shaitan will never harm the child. Others, they say, is that the child will never go back to kufr. They'll never apostate from the religion. They'll never leave the religion. Even though they may make some sins. And they may fall into some shortcomings and some errors. But they will not go to kufr. Tayyib. And he mentions other narrations here. How the shaitan comes in contact with certain parts of the body of the man. And things like this. Alright. Before the woman conceives the child. طيب ثم الحديث سيق لفائدة تحصل للولد ولا تحصل على هذا ولعله يقول إن عدم مشاركة الشيطان لأبيه في جماع أمه فائدته عائدة على الولد أيضا وفي الحديث استحباب تسمية وبيان بركتها في كل حال وأن يعتصم بالله وذكره من الشيطان والتبرك باسمه والاستعاذة به من جميع الأسواء وفيه أن الشيطان لا يفارق ابن آدم في حال من الأحوال إلا إذا ذكر الله. He says this hadith proves is that the virtue of saying Bismillah, the virtue of saying Bismillah, the importance of saying Bismillah during all things and all times, even before sexual intercourse, is to say Bismillah in the name of Allah before you do anything. He says here, and that a person should always hold fast to Allah and the dhikr of Allah and seeking barakah through the name of Allah Azza wa Jal and seeking Allah's protection from all evil, from all vice. All evil, all vice, all negativity, say A'udhu Billah. And it also proves is that shaitan never leaves the son of Adam. He's always with the son of Adam unless the son of Adam mentions Allah. The moment he mentions Allah, shaitan feels uncomfortable. He doesn't want to be around and he doesn't want to be involved. He wishes not to be involved. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla for protection from that. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to guide our children, to keep them guided and to keep them strong and firm upon the Sirat al-Mustaqim. And there are, of course, many different manners and pieces of etiquette. There are many different wholesome types of behavior with regards to having a child, raising a child. that we have explained in classes before. And many parents, they ask, oh, my child is like this, my child is like that. Oftentimes the tarbiyah of the child, it begins before the child is even born. The wife that you marry, the husband that you marry, the du'as that you make, the supplication that you make, the prayers that you offer, the food that you feed your pregnant wife, the food that you eat, is it from halal or haram? Your semen and sperm, is it barak? Is it blessed? Is it tahir? Is it pure? Or is it soiled with haram nourishment? All right? Okay, the name that you give your child, the aqiqah, there's so many different adab for protecting your child from shaitan and hopefully allowing him to grow up to be righteous, So those of us who have fallen short, we should try our best to catch up if we can and to fix what we can. And those of you who have not yet had children, take heed and hearken to this advice of raising your child properly from day one. Now just stop and think how many Muslims have never even heard of this dua. Think how many Muslims have never even read Bukhari, never opened it up. They never even heard of it. Think how many children were born without this supplication being made. Think how scary that is. And look at some of the reasons behind certain children grown, they don't want to do Islam. They don't want to practice Islam. They're caught up in gangs, or they're caught up in dunya and this and that, or whatever they're caught up in. So it's very important to learn the authentic adhkar and to make them and to try our best to protect our children through these adhkar. Khairan, inshallah ta'ala. Let's move forward. And obviously this also goes to show us, similar to eating the dinner. If you don't say Bismillah, the shaitan is there eating with you in your house. The shayateen come. And the importance of saying Bismillah before you do anything. Khairan. Third hadith we'll mention tonight. It's the 9th hadith of the chapter. وعن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال إذا دعا الرجل امرأته إلى فراشه فأبت أن تجيء فبات غضبان لعنتها الملائكة حتى تصبح متفق عليه واللفظ للبخاري ولمسلم كان الذي في السماء ساخطا عليها حتى يرضى عنها. Next hadith says, it's hadith 875. It's narrated by Abu Hurairah radiyallahu anhu. The Prophet ﷺ said, when a woman who has been called to come to her husband's bed refuses to come, and he spends the night in anger, the angels curse her till the morning. Agreed upon. The version is of al-Bukhari. Muslim has, he who is in heaven is displeased with her till her husband is pleased with her. Right. This hadith teaches us, and it shows us the obligation for a woman to respond to her husband's wishes, fulfill his wishes and desires in the bedroom. And that if he calls her to his bed and she refuses without a valid excuse, she's sick, something that is extremely important to the children, something that she just can't do, there's no valid excuse, then she has disobeyed Allah and she has fallen into a major sin, whereas her husband will go to sleep at night and he's mad and he's upset. He wanted to have intercourse with her, he wanted to be intimate with her, he wanted to make love with her, have sex with her, and she said, no, I don't feel like it. Get out my face, kick rocks, you can suck an egg, I'm not sleeping with you, blah, 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 whatever the reason is. She says those things, and he goes to sleep, he's angry, he's upset. The angels will curse her until the next morning, meaning she's made a major sin. And the second version says, is that Allah Azza wa Jal, the one who's above all of his creation, he will be angry with her, meaning she has made a major sin and she has disobeyed Allah the Mighty and the Most High. So that's what this hadith is showing us and teaching us, and it is teaching us the importance of the rights of the husband. The importance of the rights of the husband, which of course, modern, progressive, 2020 Western society versus this is like water and oil. It'll never, ever, 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 ever mix, period. And this is very important advice for myself and for any scholar or da'iyah, anybody calling to Islam, trying to teach Islam, trying to promote Islam. The moment you try to mix the authentic teachings of Islam, Orthodox Islam, with the modern, progressive, Western mentality, you're at loss. You've lost already. You cannot win. Impossible. And that's because there's so many different basic teachings of Islam that will never, ever go with the modern 2020 lifestyle of the Western mindset, period. You don't have to talk about jihad wala wal bara. You don't have to talk about the sharia. You can leave all of that alone. You don't even have to talk about jihad and those other things. Basic marriage. A person says, okay, there's no jihad. Jihad has conditions. We're not fighting. These people are terrorists. That's extremism. We only have self-defense. No problem. You can move all of that to the side. All of those problematic issues talking about jihad. Move it to the side. Okay, so we're peaceful Muslims. We live in the United States. We love our country. We love our president. We're going to vote for him again. We love our rulers. We love the American flag, the American dream, apple pie, halal hot dogs. We're Americans, right? We're not living in Arabia. This is not the Caliphate of Fulan. It's not the Ottoman Empire of Fulan. No problem. So what are you going to do with the teachings of Islam pertaining to husband and wife? About a woman obeying her husband. About a woman asking for permission to spend her wealth. About this, about that. A woman cannot refuse her husband sexually. How can you even begin to talk about that in a Western society mindset type of conversation? And their cups are full, over spilling, dripping on the floor with what's right and what's wrong, what's extreme, what is an abomination, what's chauvinism. How can you even start? And they're gonna open up Bukhari, Sahih Bukhari. They're gonna open up Ibn Kathir, Tabari. They're gonna open up the books, and they're gonna say, well, what about this? Wadribuhunna, so on and so forth. Kana ladhi fi as-samai. What, you're gonna be stuck. You told us Islam was a peaceful religion that was equal between men and women, and that Islam was progressive, Islam was flexible and versatile. You told us that women are just like men, they have no different rulings, and so on and so forth. You told us that those are Arab customs, Arab cultures. And now we're opening up Sahih Bukhari, and it clearly says that she can't tell her husband no. How can that even work? How can that fly in Western society? A woman has to ask permission to leave her house, her husband, before she leaves the house. How do you even explain that to them? If you haven't laid down the foundations of pure Islam and of following the teachings of Islam, regardless of your desires, where are you going to go? Rather, if you even haven't connected them with their past and the old traditional, old-fashioned values of America, that the man goes out and works and comes home and the woman is a housewife and a housemaker. She's wearing a skirt and a dress, not pants. The man pays the bills. The man takes care of the stuff. The woman takes care of the children. The old-fashioned stuff. We don't even have that anymore of kufr. That's gone. It's a woman goes to work in the morning. She makes her own money. She pays half the bills. She pays this. You live with her. She takes care of this, so on and so forth. And you can't tell her anything. So this is a huge problem. And of course, many people, they're fighting nowadays and they're refuting this person and questioning this one. And what about this one? And can he work with them? And so on and so forth. We got to understand it's not a band-aid, guys. We're talking about a broken arm. The arm is broken in half. The bone is fractured, snapped. And you guys are fighting over band-aids. The value of a person's dawah. What is the foundation of your dawah? Is it compromise or is it sunnah? Is it orthodox or some wishy-washy modern day stuff? That's the foundation of all of these problems. That's the foundation. And that's why, alhamdulillah, here at HadithDisciple, we try our best to take the people back to these organic teachings, to these organic classical books, for them to see the proofs and evidences themselves. Not through Sheikh Fulan or Brother Fulan, but themselves, the dalil themselves, and the classical interpretation themselves. All right? So the concept of a woman saying, why do I have to obey my husband? What do you mean my husband is going to be angry with me and the angels curse me? What if it's his fault? What if he got on my nerves? What if he pissed me off? What if it's his fault? He started the fight. He started the argument. No, I'm not having sex with you. All right? We have to understand that Islam is Quran and Sunnah. Quran and Sunnah. That's all it is. Quran and Hadith. If the Quran and Hadith tell me I have to do something, even if I don't feel like it, I have to do it. I have to provide. I have to spend. Why not let her work? She got her own money. Let her pay the bills. Let her do this. Let her treat me out to dinner. Quran and Sunnah doesn't say that. So I can't just pick and choose what I want from Quran and Sunnah. And other people, they do it as well. Women and men alike. The Quran and Sunnah gives women rights. Women can inherit. They don't have to change their names, so on and so forth. And the Quran and Sunnah also say, obey your husband. And never tell your husband no in the bedroom, regardless of the reason. Unless it is a valid, legitimate excuse. So this whole war that the people are going through right now with dawahs and sheikhs and scholars and institutes and fulana, it's deeper than an issue. It's deeper than one video or this thing, he did this and he said this and it's deeper than that. It goes deeper than that. And the foundation of all of this is al-ittiba', following that which is pure and following that which is correct, and presenting it to the non-Muslims and the sinful Muslims and ignorant Muslims with wisdom, but not watering it down and not presenting them culture from Arabia and forcing them to it. في الحديث إخبار بأنه يجب على المرأة إجابة زوجها إذا دعاها للجماع، لأن قوله إلى فراشي كناية عن الجماع كما في قوله الولد للفراش أي للذي يطع في الفراش. ودليل الوجوب لعن الملائكة لها إذ لا يلعنون إلا عن أمر الله تعالى، ولا يكون إلا عقوبة، ولا عقوبة إلا على ترك واجب. وقوله حتى يصبح أو حتى تصبح دليل على وجوب الإجابة في الليل، ولا مفهوم له لأنه خرج ذكره مخرج القارب، ولا فإنه يجب عليه إجابته نهارا. وقد أخرجه غير مقيد بالليل ابن خزيمة وابن حبان مرفوعا: ثلاثة لا تقبل لهم صلاة ولا تصعد لهم إلى السماء حسنة: العبد الآبق حتى يرجع، والسكران حتى يسحو، والمرأة الساخط عليها زوجها حتى يرضى، وإن كان هذا في سخطه مطلقا ولو لعدم طاعتها في غير الجماع. وليس فيه لعن إلا أن فيه وعيدا شديدا يدخل فيه عدم طاعتها له في جماعها من ليل أو نهار. He says the hadith proves is that it's obligatory, it's a must for a woman to respond to her husband when he calls her to sexual intercourse. And that's taken from the part of the hadith that says firashihi, his bed. And what's meant by the bed is intercourse in the bed. Just like the other hadith that states al-waladu lil firash, the child is for the bed. The legal child is the bed of the child. Not like many brothers say, the opposite. The legal bed is the child of the bed, the owner of the bed. The man in the bed is the husband. The husband. Tayyib. And then he says here, the angels cursing her proves that it's haram and it's a major sin. Okay? And the angels never curse a person unless Allah commands them. And they never curse someone unless it's a punishment. And there's no punishment unless they left off something which is obligatory. Moving forward. Hatta tusbih, until she wakes up in the morning or until he wakes up, is a proof that she has to respond to him before the night is over. But it doesn't mean that it's specific to the nighttime. If he calls her in the daytime or in the afternoon, the ruling will apply as well. وزاد البخاري في روايته في بدء الخلق فبات غضبان عليها أي زوجها. قيل وهذه الزيادة يتجه وقوع اللعن عليها لأن حينئذ يتحقق ثبوت معصية بخلاف ما لم يغضب من ذلك فإنها لا تستحق اللعن. وفي قوله لعنتها الملائكة دلالة على أن منع من عليه الحق عمن هو له وقد طلبه يوجب سخط الله تعالى للمانع سواء كان الحق في بدن أو مال. وقيل ويدل أنه يجوز لعن العاصي المسلم إذا كان على وجه الإرهاب عليه قبل أن يواقع المعصية دعي له بالتوبة والمغفرة. Then he states about her husband going to sleep angry with her. This proves is that if her husband is angry, then she deserves to be cursed. As far as if he's not necessarily angry, or he didn't necessarily require or request it like this, then that may not be the case. Another fa'idah from this hadith is that he who prevents a person from their rights will render upon himself Allah's wrath, Allah's anger, Allah's abhorrence. Whatever the right is, wealth, you owe someone physical money, whatever it may be, whatever the haqq is. Moving forward. He says another fa'idah from this hadith is the permissibility of cursing a sinful Muslim. Specifically, cursing a specific Muslim who's a sinner. But he says not to curse them after they have done the act, but to curse them before they do the act. To terrify them, to shake them up, to intimidate them from doing the act. As far as if they have done the act of disobedience, then you only make dua for tawbah and for maghfirah. May Allah forgive you, may Allah guide you. Don't curse them, a specific person. بعد نقله لهذا عن المهلب ليس هذا التقيد مستفاد من الحديث. طيب. We mentioned the other issues بإذن الله تعالى, technical and non-technical issues that pertain to this hadith. Is marriage has a harmony, and there's also disharmony in a marriage. Try your best to have harmony with your spouse بإذن الله تعالى. If you're a man, try your best to treat your wife kindly, respectfully. Try your best to be the best husband that you can. Try to honor her. Try to teach her. Try to advise her. Try your best to enjoin the good and forbid the evil. Try your best to please your wife and give her her needs and her wants. to the best of your ability, time, money, physical strength, ilm, etc. And if you're a woman, try your best to honor your husband and respect your husband and obey your husband and listen to your husband and avoid angering your husband directly or indirectly. Directly or indirectly. And try your best to make your husband's world the best it can possibly be according to your wealth, according to your physical abilities, according to your knowledge, according to your understanding. And when there's an argument, when there's a disagreement, try not to get angry. All right? Try to calm down. Try to talk about it peacefully, respectfully. All right? Try not to curse. Try not to slander. Or try not to fight physically, throw things, punch things, knock things down, grab, pull, rip weapons. Avoid that. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. If there's a disagreement, and disagreements will come, sit down, talk about it. Express yourself. I feel angry. I feel disrespected. I feel like you played me. I feel like that you try to humiliate me in public by making this joke about me in front of this person. Talk to them. But cursing, swearing, arguing, fighting, throwing stuff, punching in the face, kicking, spitting, no. Avoid those things. If your husband has made you angry and it's something that he wants from you and it is his haq, his right, be a wise sister and give him his right. Not because he's right, not because you're pleased with him and he didn't do nothing wrong or didn't make you angry, even if you're wrong, but give him his Islamic haq and vice versa. Your wife is angry with you or you're angry with your wife, so on and so forth. If she asks to pay the electric this month or pay the rent or we need Pampers, we need diapers, or I need pads and tampons, or I need some shoes. I don't have no shoes. You can't say I'm not going to provide for you because you made me angry. Get that bleep out my face. Get lost. I'm not giving you nothing. You can't do that. Your wife, as long as she's your wife, she still has a haq on you. And then your husband, as long as he is your husband, he still has a haq upon you. So it's unwise to incur Allah's anger, Allah's curse, and Allah's wrath for a personal grudge or vendetta. How stupid is that? You want to be passive aggressive, you want to be angry, you want to get back at somebody, and you end up cursing yourself. You cut your nose to spite your face. That makes no sense. Okay, Yom al-Qiyamah, your husband ain't going to be there for you. Yom al-Qiyamah, your wife is not going to be there for you. They're not going to have anything to do with you. You're going to run from your house, your spouse, your brother, your sister. You're going to run from them. So why bring on more punishment from Allah just to fulfill your personal desire for revenge? So this is what I would call spiritual professionalism. Spiritual professionalism. I'm not feeling you right now. No, we ain't cool. You know what you did wrong. You know what you said. You know what you did. You snooped on me. You did this. You know how you disrespected me in public. But I'm still going to pay the rent. I'm still going to give you your haq. Not because I'm feeling you, but because as my right. When I calm down, I'm not angry, we make up, different story. And vice versa. A woman, she has to come to this spiritual professionalism. It ain't about you. It's about my soul. And don't listen to the nonsense and the rhetoric of this person and that person. Oh, no, he did it. Don't listen to it. Nah. No one is going to be with you on Yom al-Qiyamah. No one is going to be with you with your own deeds. No one's going to be with you for your deeds in the grave but yourself. So it's not about you or him or me. It's about my own soul. So we must have spiritual professionalism. And there comes a time when you have to be spiritually selfish and stingy. I could care less about you. Seriously. I could care less. If it was up to me, I wouldn't give you a dime. But I have to give it to you. If it was up to me, I wouldn't give you this time. I wouldn't do this with you physically. If it was up to me for how you treated me. But it's your haq. Alright? Once you can reach that level, and which is not personal, it's not a grudge, and you know how to be professional for your own spirit, there is no doubt you have obtained a level of mastery over yourself. And once you put Allah's laws above your personal desires, your grudges, and your vendettas. Allah Azza wa Jalla knows best. We ask Him to guide us all and to forgive us all for our transgressions, forgive us all for our slippings and our mistakes, and to bring harmony upon our marriages and our households. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa jazakumullahu khairan. Thanks a lot for watching and tuning in.